So we got Blake Gaddis from Africa on Future Important People.
Yeah,
See ya.
It's good to be here. Nigeria, West Africa. I was there for 11 years, and then I moved back here. So I got some stories for you people today.
Sweet.
All right, so I am from a little town in America called Medford, and when I was 9, we moved to Nigeria, West Africa. Nigeria, West Africa is a pretty big place. It is beautiful and dangerous and exciting, and it has changed me in amazing ways. A little information about Nigeria. It is twice the size of California, so hopefully that gives you an idea.
Like landmass?
Landmass size, yeah. It's twice the size of California.
Just Nigeria.
Just Nigeria, yes. Not Africa. Africa is not twice the size of Nigeria.
Africa's like a third of the U.S., I think, right?
I think Africa is much larger than the United States.
No, the U.S. is like a third of
I think that's
Africa.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, Africa is a very large continent. So twice the size of California. That's the landmass of Nigeria, and it has 173.6 million people.
So you were born in Medford?
I was born in Medford, yes.
And you lived there until you were 9?
Until I was 9.
And I grew up in Ashland, like 10 minutes away.
It's true.
And in case anybody doesn't know, that's in Oregon.
That's in Oregon, yes.
All this is in Oregon, except for Vancouver, which is in Washington, where you live now.
Yes.
So I actually lived when I was like 4 or 5, I lived in Talent, which is like 4 minutes away.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Which is weird.
From the age of when I was born until 9, me and Baker lived within like 40 miles like the entire time.
Well, we moved to Talent when I was like,
Knew each other.
I guess 2. So
Yeah.
pretty much.
Pretty close.
Yeah. So you moved to Jos, Nigeria.
Yes.
And then at some point you came back because we went to middle school for a year and we didn't know it.
Yes.
We didn't know each other.
6th grade.
So you came back for 1 year in 6th grade.
And we lived in Ashland.
That's
So we would spend 4 years there, and then we'd come back for a year. And that's just kind of the swing things. We did that. I was there for 11 years.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria, yes. I was there
So,
for
like,
11
the
years.
majority of your childhood was spent in Africa.
Yes.
Or at least half.
Yes.
Probably about half. Because you moved back for college.
I did in 2009. So we went over there in 1997, 1998. They came back in 2009.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into some of these stories.
I was telling
Like, the one about the witch doctor. I don't know if you but I really want to hear that one.
Okay. So the witch doctor story. We didn't know it was a witch doctor when we first had this whole thing.
So, first of all, your parents were missionaries down there?
Yeah.
And you guys lived in a decent area for Nigeria, right?
Let me give you a little backstory.
Okay.
Because that's not entirely true. When we first moved there, we were in the northern part of Nigeria, which is mostly Muslim, and then the southern area is mostly Christian. So it's very different. It's almost like 2 separate countries because the top is run in Sharia law and the bottom is very differently run. But we lived in the top in a tent for I think about a month, maybe a month and a half.
Your whole family lived
Yeah, we lived in a tent. So we showed up in Nigeria.
You, your brother,
Like-
your sister, your parents.
Yes.
What do you mean by tent? You mean like a 4-man sleeping tent or like a big, like, army tent?
Canopy?
It was the LL Bean, like 6-person tent.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty small.
Yeah, not huge.
And you have 2 siblings?
I have a younger brother and a younger sister, yeah. So we went out there and packed this tent and a water purification system, food, and just cots, everything we could use for our stay there. And we went to live with these nomadic herdsmen that my parents were working with. So we were out in the middle of nowhere.
I can't imagine being like, you were 9 when you moved out?
Yeah, that sounds about
So what were you thinking at 9 years old? Like, we're going to move to Africa. You must have been...
Oh my goodness. It was, before we even got to Nigeria, we had to go through training. We had to go through training in Texas, and then we had to go through training in Cameroon.
What kind of training? Like,
We're
vaccines?
Well, we had to do a lot of vaccines. We had to do like tons of anti-malarial medications when we were there. vaccines. I'll go more into detail on that later. But the main training we did was in a place in Cameroon where it was just a compound of people about to go out to the rest of the world and do their missionary work. But to prepare them for the horrors that they would deal with, they had like a training seminar. So one of the things we had to do was eat disgusting food that they're going to expect you to eat if you go to another place.
Crazy.
And one example of that would be the palm grub. And the palm grub is this inch-long, maggot-looking creature that is extremely thick and just like bulbous, and it has a big orange head, and it's like,
you had to eat that.
Gross. Dude, you had to eat that
it's
alive.
just like Lion King.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
Simba has to eat all the bugs.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh,
So you and Peter, how did Peter do on that?
I don't remember. I blacked out.
You blacked out.
I put that thing in my mouth and I don't remember what happened.
Wait, that's not a normal thing. When you move to Nigeria, that's not a normal thing to go through training. They were just trying to get you guys ready for it, right?
It's a coverall training where they say, hey, you're going to deal with some situations that you're not used to as an American or a British person.
Keep you from having ultra culture shock.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of that. There was a lot of language training. There was a lot of stuff that we as kids weren't taught, but our parents were taught, and that helped them transition into going from a nice backyard and a nice house to the middle of nowhere in a tent, or dealing with mud hut structures and thatch roofs. And
So you guys lived in the tent, you said, for a month?
about a month, yeah. And my parents were working closely with the herdsmen that lived there, and they had like a small camp set up there, and they would just spend all day and all night hanging out with them and getting to know them. And it was just a rapid induction into this culture and learning about them in a way that you couldn't any other way, just by living with them. And my dad and my mom were starting to pick up the language really fast. But the local imams were not happy that white infidels were there in the town talking to their people. And so my dad got a call, or not a call, basically one of the guys came over, one of the herdsmen, in the middle of the night, and he said, you guys got to go right now. They're going to kill you. So we packed up everything into the truck, and it was very late at night. And I just remember waking up, and my mom was so scared, and my dad was just stoic. Let's do this, get it done, let's get out of here, without telling us what was going on. Mm-hmm. But I found out later what was going on, and I don't know what I would have done if I knew what was happening.
So that was not Joss.
No, this was just upper area of Nigeria. I'm not exactly sure where it was, because it was literally in the middle of nowhere. They just got the coordinates on a GPS of this is where the camp is, and they went out there.
So you lived the next place you lived was Joss?
No.
Okay.
The next place we lived was a little tiny town called Gure. Gure is probably some of my best memories are in that spot. It is just a beautiful little town, idyllic, out in the middle of nowhere, but just enough civilization that it functions, and it's surrounded by what we call the bush. So all these thin, spindly trees and a savanna, and just what you would imagine Africa to really be.
I remember it was probably like 5 years ago now. Peter was still in Africa.
Yeah.
He went back after moving here.
Yeah, he did.
And it was like a Facebook call. He was calling me, and he was freaking out. For him, it was the middle of the night. It was like 4 a.m.
Oh, no.
For me, it was like, I can't remember what the difference is. But he was like, dude, there is a 1 foot bug outside of my window trying to kill me. I can't sleep.
That's
so
hilarious.
The bugs out there, I guess, just according to Peter,
brutal, man,
are just insane, right?
They're huge. Yeah, they got these.
Did you ever get bit by anything?
Yeah, dude. Okay, so when we lived in the tent, I got stung by scorpions many times.
Oh my god.
So we would have these little flip-flops, like the Chinese-made flip-flops, cost like 20 cents, and they're just rubber and plastic. So I had that on the ground.
That's why when you moved back, you were always wearing flip-flops.
Yeah,
so
well,
funny.
that's like, dude, I probably have the worst arch support in the entire world because for years and years and years, all I did was wear flip-flops.
So you did that because if you put on normal shoes, there could be a scorpion inside of it or something, right? Is that kind of the...
I think it was just because the kind of shoes that we would normally wear here, you couldn't get.
Oh, really?
So once we had worn through the shoes that we have here, then we would just wear the shoes they have there. And eventually when we moved to Joss later on, we started to get cool shoes and be like, oh, you got Nikes. And they're knockoffs, but they work. Nike spelled with a C.
So oh my god. So you were talking about getting bit by bugs and scorpions.
Yes, the scorpions. So those little flip-flops, even though it was just a tiny little bit of shade provided by the top part of the flip-flop, a scorpion was hiding in that shade. And I went to slip it on, and when I made contact with it, it freaked the scorpion out and just turned around and stung the crap out of my foot. And it's so painful, but luckily my parents got this little electric voltage shocker. What it does is neutralizes poisons and toxins.
Weird.
So it was developed by a guy who a long time ago, he got bit by a snake, and he had heard that if you electrify the area, it neutralizes toxins. So he took his car battery and just pumped the voltage into him and ended up saving his life. So he developed a miniature version of that, where if you have like a bug bite, you zap yourself. And it's kind of like a taser, really. It hurts, but it'll save your life. So they did that to me. And
it's a good morning for you.
Yeah. Wake up.
Get stung. Get shocked.
Oh,
so that's all you do? You just shock yourself and you're good?
It neutralizes the poisons. If it's like a black mamba or green mamba, which there's a lot of those there, then you go to the hospital, get an antidote if you can, because you don't want to just...
That'll kill you.
Just risk... Oh, definitely. You don't want to just risk it based on the idea that, oh, this little electrical shock is going to save me. Mm-hmm. But, scorpion, that's all we had, and it worked. I'm alive today.
So that witch doctor.
This witch doctor, yeah. It's such a funny story.
I mean, everybody wants to hear about witch doctor by now.
Was that in Joss? When you lived next to a witch doctor?
Okay, so
the
witch doctor is the story that happened in Gure.
Hooray! Okay, this place.
Yes, that was the place I was saying. That's like idyllic Africa. Like you think of Africa, and that's the spot.
All right.
So. Our parents, I wouldn't say we were latchkey kids, but our parents would say, hey, go out and have fun all day and come back later. So and they wouldn't like lock the door and say, hey, get out.
Isn't a latchkey kid just a kid with a key to his house around his neck?
Yeah, but it's like get out of the house and you can come back at any time.
Oh.
Or come back later. That's my understanding. Maybe I have that wrong. Basically, they would say, go out and do stuff and get out of the house because we need to do things. And have freedom. Yeah. But so we would go out and just wander a lot. And one day, pretty early on, me and Peter were deciding to go on a little trek. And we started walking out. And we got to the edge of town. And there's a lot less houses out there, and it was kind of weird looking. It wasn't like the normal town, and we started to see these little twigs bent into symbols hanging from trees. I don't know if you've ever seen True Detective, but those weird symbol things.
I still want to watch it. I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, there's like these twig things that they turn. It's black magic juju, essentially, that they use those for. And so those were all hanging around in these trees. We didn't know what the heck they were. So we just kept walking because, we're dumb. so we kept going, and we came up to this area that was starting to get kind of wooded, and not like the wooded here where there's just like tons and tons of trees that are like fir trees and stuff, but like spindly, weird mangrove baobab trees. And the baobab trees are just big, huge bases, but all these are mingling together, and there's like a little clearing area underneath, and we're walking up, and this hut has been constructed in the middle of this that's made of mud and then animal bones. So you've got rat skulls and baboon skulls, monkey skulls, dog skulls, just bones sticking all out of this thing.
Sounds like that primitive technology YouTube thing.
Yeah. The guy that...
The kid that just goes out and makes huts. And
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like a stay out sign. Like, there's a bunch of dead things.
Well,
Things.
the only reason to put the skulls on there is exactly that, probably.
And power. Like, you draw black magic from the skulls to death. And
so you walked up to the hut.
so we walked up and we were like, what is this? What is going on? And this naked old man comes running out.
Was he just a giant, big black guy?
He was pretty big. He was pretty huge.
I just remember the way you explained this big black witch doctor running with his just
dangling.
You're just too little. How old were you guys?
We were so like 9 or 10. It was like when we first got to Gure, man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So comes out.
He had white paint or dye or something just like splotched all over him. It wasn't like clean. It was like you just did all over your body. Mm-hmm. He had like little things of blood and stuff on him. But he came out and his hair was completely white and all like he had this chest hair that was all completely white and he just like looked like a ghost. It was so creepy looking and his eyes were bulging red and just like so veiny. Oh man, that's creepy. So
I remember,
he came running out and he was screaming at us in some language I don't know. I don't know if it was Hausa, which is a common language used there. I don't know what it was. I didn't understand it. It creeped us out so bad. So he came out and he just started chasing us. And we're just little fat kids. We can't run that fast. We did our best. And we ran straight home. And we didn't know what happened. And we kind of told our parents what had happened. I don't think they believed us, honestly. But we got back, and that was kind of the end of it. And then, like a half a year to a year later, I was walking with one of the local kids just around in another area of town, and I saw another one of those hanging symbols. And I asked him about it, and I was like, "What is that? We saw that before." And then he proceeded to tell me that it's black magic, juju, and that's a sign of the witch doctor, that you're getting close to their areas and this place is cursed. And when I told him about what had happened with the witch doctor, he said that we had probably interrupted one of his rituals, which is why his eyes were all messed up, and that he was probably using either a hallucinogen or drinking heavily or something. And that's why his eyes looked so messed up. And that's why he was so angry at us and was cursing us, because we had come to his place uninvited.
You might have actually been in danger.
Yes, and that he was casting a curse on us as we ran away. Yeah, so that's the witch doctor story.
I got that story mixed up. I think you were telling me you were really angry because some guy, one of your neighbors, was beating Peter with a stick.
Yes, okay. There's also,
so that's not the same story.
I guess it's not the same
That's
story.
not the same story. There's a lot of bad people. I'm gonna be honest. That place had amazing people and terrible people all living together, just struggling to make a living.
So what was that?
So that's I call that the Pepe pounding story. That's not Pepe the Frog. That's Pepe is a kind of like chili pepper that they grind up and pound and turn into a delicious Pepe soup.
It's like a chili type thing.
Yes, it's very hot, but delicious, and it's used in a lot of Nigerian cuisine. So there's like a little Pepe facility where it's just like a hut with a bunch of pounders, and a pounder is just like a hollowed out log, and you have like a long stick with a knob on the end, and you smash the stuff into the log, and then it breaks it up.
So mortar and pestle.
Yeah, like a giant mortar and pestle, but you're just whacking that thing. Dude, the chicks that do that all day, oh my gosh, they're like bodybuilders. They're so strong. They're so strong. And I was intimidated. Yep.
Okay.
As a little kid. Not anymore.
Probably still, maybe.
Maybe a little bit. So me and Peter went walking over there, and we just explored a lot. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't understand the language, so we got in a lot of trouble with a lot of people. Just being in places. But we walked up to the spot, and immediately it was like we couldn't breathe because there was so much Pepe in the air. And the people that work there are used to it, but we weren't. And so we were just like, oh, this is terrible. This is so bad. And one of the the town drunks, who they would drink brukutu, he came out, and he was just sloshed. And his eyes were so red. I've never seen anybody's eyes that red. That was like 40 years of nonstop drinking, just the most vile stuff you could think of. And he came out and he was just angry. And I don't know why, but he decided Peter was his target. And he picked up one of the pounders and he went after Peter. And we got so scared and we started to run away. And he hit Peter really hard in the back and really hurt him. And it was really scary. But I'm not sure how we got away. I think some of the local ladies came over and started harassing the guy to leave us alone and like kind of saved us. But we ran back to the house and goodness gracious, I've never seen my dad so mad.
Oh, really?
He probably would have killed that guy if he wasn't a Christian. Honestly. Back in his young days. So there was a whole confrontation, and basically that guy was told if he ever touched us again, he'd spend the rest of his life in jail. Great. And he stopped messing with us after that. But the crazy thing is, while we were there too, when Peter got hit, both our eyes were filled with Pepe that was on the bottom of the pounder. So we were essentially blind at that point because Pepe just went into our eyes. So we were just little fat white kids crying, lost in Nigeria, not knowing where to go or what to do, just looking around. And then these awesome Nigerian ladies came and saved us, and our dad helped us, and our mom was very supportive. It was a traumatic experience, but it's something to learn from. Don't be an alcoholic.
And like the booze in Africa, it's not like the booze we have in America. Right?
It's not refined a lot of times.
It's like little drinking like ethanol.
Well, ethanol or just the most impure beer mixed with 40 Mad Dog 2020 or something.
My God.
It's just like, it's really impure, and so it messes.
Do they have like a form of moonshine down there?
They do, yeah. They make bananas into moonshine. They do palm wine. Palm wine is huge. You get the little palm nut things and break them up. They're orange, and then it turns into this viscous orange liquid, and they drink it in these gourds. So these gourds grow into like a big bulb and then like a little bulb, and you cut the top off, and then you can just slosh it around without spilling it. It's kind of like Frank and his wine in a can.
Always
perfect for drinking. It's always sunny. Yeah.
So let's talk about your passions a little bit. Like you're an artist, right?
Yes. You
consider yourself an artist?
I would consider myself an artist.
Like you probably draw on a lot of your experiences, like being in Africa and like all those things. Like, does that affect your art at all? Like what you draw or what you like to draw?
I think it affects it a lot. Yeah, I think a lot of the beauty that I saw in Nigeria and a lot of just the visceral everyday struggle to survive kind of comes through in a lot of stuff I do, which is hard when I'm designing medical brochures.
You started drawing back in Nigeria probably as a kid, right?
I started drawing in Medford when I was a little kid.
Oh yeah.
I've been an avid drawer my whole life.
You're sitting in class, and instead of listening, you're sitting there drawing.
Half listening, half drawing.
I did that too. Yeah.
Trying to learn, but also do what I want
daydreaming
at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of growing up wanting to do the art route, like being a fine artist. And my dad kind of talked me out of that because he's seen kind of where that goes, and he was very supportive in a lot of things, but that was one area where he said, I think it would be better for you to go in a route that utilizes your art, but you'll actually get paid.
Well,
Instead of being a struggling artist.
Maybe that makes sense in like a bread and butter type of way, like, you know, getting income, but it doesn't have to end there, you know.
Yeah,
it's a means to get to the place where you're really. I mean, if you could stop doing your medical brochures and you could do what you want, like what kind of art would you want to do?
Well, I already kind of do it right now as my job after my job. I work for.
You've had that job for like 5 years now, right?
Man, how long has it been? Like 3 years?
Oh, you said you moved 3 years ago and you were doing that for a while in Eugene.
Yeah, so it's probably been about
3 or 4 years. I've been working for a fellow named Ralph for Ralph Huber USA. He does military contract jobs with T-shirts for those companies. Really awesome business. Highly recommend them. But I do a lot of design work for them and a lot of template stuff. So I ended up designing like United States military bulldogs holding rifles.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
And that's kind of what
there's a lot of people out there wearing your artwork that maybe don't even know who you are.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of people. There's definitely a lot. I saw a picture of some, what was it? They were Air Force guys holding up one of the shirts I did. And it was so
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I was like, yes.
I remember back in Eugene when you lived in that quad, we used to just like stand there watching YouTube videos. Basically, you would do your art and we'd hang out and do other stuff too.
Yeah.
We just like, it just reminds me of listening to Kid Cudi. And we ended up getting hammered. We drank Everclear. And
again, another learning moment.
Yeah, this was definitely a learning moment. Everclear and Moscato.
Yep.
And we tried to make it to a show. It was a Hobson show.
Yeah, it was a Hobson show.
And
it's down the road.
We were gonna walk there, and
we tried to run.
No. At first we were walking. We made it one block, and we were on the sidewalk vomiting. And then we like hobbled our way back, drank a bunch of water, ate some bread, and then we ran. And we ran up to the Wow Hall. It was,
It was amazing.
What was that, Il-94?
Yeah, dude, that was a fun.
That was a cool show.
I enjoyed that a lot.
Except I went for a fist bump, and he was like, "No, I don't do fist bumps." And he was too cool for me. Remember, he like shook your hand or whatever.
Yeah.
And I went up for a fist bump because I didn't really want to touch a bunch of people's hands.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No,
I don't do."
He totally dissed me.
You know what? That's all right, man. You got to see his show and he addressed you. At least that's something. It's better than the kid that I saw trying to give him a hat. And he was like, I don't want that stinky ass hat. Yeah. You want to hear some weird facts and stuff about Nigeria?
Yeah, that might be a good way to end this.
Yeah,
kind of a good outro.
Okay, so when we first got there, and I don't think you see them anymore, but when we first got there on the streets of Jos, there were these hyena handlers, and they would have these huge, just ripped hyenas, and they had muzzles on, but the muzzles are just corded rope wrapped around and then on their face. And so these guys would just be walking around with hyenas down the street and making them do tricks and stuff. And I don't know if you've ever seen what a hyena can do to an antelope or a buffalo, but go look that up. And then imagine that just being on the street, walking around, just snarling at people and doing tricks for bits of meat.
So the hyena handlers they have them on a leash?
They had them on just a rope, yep.
Why?
Because it was entertainment. That's what they did for their living. It's cool that they could work with these beastly animals, which are as strong or stronger than them, in the middle of crowds and not like have many incidents. But it was also terrifying because we're like, well, that thing could get loose and wreck somebody.
I wouldn't trust their standards in a rope.
Yes,
holding that thing back. What keeps the thing from attacking the handler?
Just a relationship. It's like a dog, you know.
It's like the bear. It's like what was the bear? The guy who went to live with the bears. Wild man.
Oh yeah, that guy. He got eaten.
And he just got betrayed. You can't. There's nothing you can do for a wild animal. You can't tame one.
It's like people that pet tigers, man. They're your friend until the day that they're not.
Yeah.
You do one thing to mess them up, and they're a 300-pound animal that's just gonna eviscerate you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you didn't go anywhere near the thing.
Well, we were walking around next to him.
Jeez.
And then also in the early days of being in Josh, there were girls that had rock pythons around their necks, and they'd walk around
Trying
and
to get tips or something?
put them in their mouth and like blow on them and stuff, and then they would react and move around. And I guess they were selling them. Or trying to get weird tips and stuff.
What's the currency there?
Naira?
Naira.
Yeah. Yes. I think right now the exchange rate is pretty bad.
Do you ever want to go back?
That is a question that I ask myself pretty often, man, because it's a beautiful, beautiful place, but it's also a terrifying place. And just here's some of the, I'll give you a little list of some of the dangerous things that we dealt with on a daily basis. Armed robbery was a huge problem. Almost everyone I knew in Joss had been involved in armed robbery at some point.
Did you end up getting robbed? Your family?
Our family has been very blessed, in fact, in that we ourselves have not been robbed. We have a pretty awesome security system that my dad built, and that's helped a lot of times. But the compound we were on has been robbed, but they never made it up to our house, luckily, because we were in the back. I was at other people's houses when their compound was robbed, but luckily they had good security as well. There's just, it's a huge rampant problem there. And
the government's just totally...
Well, who's robbing? Is it like militia groups or just random people?
Poverty in Nigeria can be up to 80% at some times.
Wow.
So unemployment and poverty is very high there, and people are just struggling to survive. If you haven't eaten in a week, you will do some horrible, horrible things. And that's what a lot of the armed robbery comes out of too.
All these people who have opinions about it don't understand what it's like, probably.
You can go without eating for a day, see what happens.
Can't do it.
That's what I say. And then just the rampant sickness. I had malaria over 100 times.
Wow.
Very surprised I'm alive today from that. That's one of the reasons I don't know if I'll go back.
You probably built up a huge immune system to it.
Yeah, eventually, but it only takes, you get one concentrated virus that has mutated, and then you can't handle it and you're done. And a lot of people die from malaria. I took a anti-malarial medication called mefloquine, and it literally drove me insane for a little bit. If you ever look that up, mefloquine, it is terrifying. The U.S. troops that took it complained about seeing hallucinogenic nightmares, and they would just go nuts. And there was a cover-up of it, but some of them people started going crazy and killing their wives. It's very, very dark.
So it's like a psychoactive drug.
What's it called?
Yes, it's called mefloquine.
Look it up.
But we were on that for a while, and I would go to sleep hearing voices, and I would have the most real nightmares that I couldn't distinguish them from reality. There was no way of knowing, and I could feel pain in them. And it really psychologically bothered me for, I don't know how long we were on them. I thought it was a whole year. My parents said otherwise, but it was a concentrated amount of time where I went insane. And luckily that stopped as soon as we were off of it and went back to chloroquine, which is just a very bitter, disgusting medication, but it works.
Stop taking mefloquine and call your doctor at once if you have a serious side effect such as depressed mood, feeling restless or anxious, confusion, extreme fear, hallucinogens, unusual thoughts or behavior. Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, look up not right now, but if you were at home and you're interested, mefloquine. There's a lot of crazy stories that came out of that. So I was on that for a little bit, and that was not good. But luckily, I have. Hopefully,
just Africa. Your parents seem to love it, but it just seems like such a dangerous environment.
I think
such an insane place.
I think my dad thrives on hardship. I think he thrives on being able to conquer the dangers and wilds of places and just being a badass.
You think Peter will ever go back?
Maybe. He seemed to do well. When I left and then he was there alone, he seemed to do really well. He did a good job of integrating himself with people and talking to them. But I don't know. He seems pretty happy here. Yeah.
So we were watching that documentary on rats.
Yeah.
You were talking about rats.
Yeah, they're just.
So what were you telling Lonnie about rats? Because I don't know why we even watched that thing. Apparently you were talking to him about...
We were talking about like just the statistics, like that in New York City there's one rat for every person at least.
At least maybe 2 rats for every
So there's
person.
like millions of rats.
There's
overpopulated.
Yeah, I watched that documentary. It's Morgan Spurlock on Netflix. I think it's just called Rats.
It's called Rats, yeah.
Yeah, but the scientists go out and capture some of the rats, and then they show some of the parasites and diseases that are on them. It's terrifying, man. That's like bubonic plague.
And they mate so rapidly that they become immune to these things, and they can just carry these without dying or affecting them.
Yeah, but they affect humans, and also
It can affect anything else.
and also poison. They can breed so fast that within a couple generations they're immune to the poison.
So they have to change poison.
So you have to make stronger and stronger poison, which if you're in a city and they're putting poison out, you're going to be around that poison that's strong enough to kill mega rats.
And it's not just New York or Philadelphia or anything. It's like they went around the world. It was like India. There are rat hunters. They walk around with sticks at night and nets, and they get paid 540 rupees per rat.
But they weren't even using the sticks. The way they were killing it, I don't even want to talk about it.
It's dark. You know what's funny in Nigeria? People love rats. They eat rats all the time, but they're not that kind of rat. They're field rats. So these rats that live out in the field and they like steal crops and stuff. So what they'll do is at the end of each cycle of growing wheat or sorghum or whatever they grow, then they'll burn the field and all the rats will come scurrying out. And so they line up all along the edge of the field with these clubs. And they're just like, yeah, let's get it. And so the field burns and then all these rats come running out. And then they're like, yeah, it's feeding time. And they just start smacking them.
Smashing rats.
Yeah, and then you just take them apart and cook them up and get eaten.
So they don't carry...
I don't know. It's possible. I've eaten a lot of weird stuff. I've had monkey before. That was weird. Because it's like, man, this is genetically very close to me. I don't know if I'm comfortable with this.
So the rats in Africa, they just don't carry the diseases?
In the city, they definitely do. But out in the...
How can you just risk that?
Out in the woods. Oh, when you're starving for weeks,
Yeah,
you eat whatever, man.
Crazy, man.
So when everyone thinks about Africa, they think about like it's wild, it's like not industrialized. But isn't like Africa huge? Don't they have huge populated cities now?
Yeah, think about like Texas. If you just went to a rural area in Texas where it's just ranches, you'd be like, oh, this is Texas? Okay. But then you go to Austin and it's this huge metropolis. So it's kind of like that where there's major city centers and then you go right outside the city center and then there's just huts. And people live out of huts.
Would you have to get a malaria shot if you went back?
Well, I would have to take malaria medication every day that I'm there.
Oh, okay.
Because what happens is the mosquitoes carry it and they'll bite you and then you have malaria. And
Crazy.
They carry it everywhere.
Would I have to do anything different? Never being there? Never going there? Than you?
Well, there's a long list of immunizations you have to get to go. So you have to get that. I don't know if you could get a visa to Nigeria. I don't know. Right now, Boko Haram is wreaking havoc in that area.
How'd your parents go back? They just went back a couple months ago,
They have
right?
special visas. I'm not sure how
Okay.
they do it. I really don't know.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't want to rag on this place. This is a beautiful, beautiful country. This place has rocks that are the size of cities just coming out of the landscape. So it's like a savanna as far as you can see, and then this rock that takes up all the way to the heavens. And it's just like, what? If you ever are at home and you look up Zuma Rock, that's probably one of the biggest ones in Nigeria, and that's on their 100 naira note. And it's just this gorgeous, huge rock with stains down the sides from rain and stuff, and so it's striped and it's just so pretty, and the clouds are like all around it. It's really cool.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's a very dangerous place, and you gotta have a will to survive to live there. Definitely.
So you're happy to be here, comparatively, just for you.
I thank God every day. Yeah, being honest.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there's not a wanting to go back and experience the adventures I did. I know that there's there's an adventure in place for me in Nigeria. But I don't know if I'll ever go back.
You're doing your art. What's the dream for you? Like, where do you want to end up in a couple of years? Do you want to be doing what you're doing?
The dream.
With your art, obviously.
I mean, if you could be doing anything for you with your art, like designing characters for video games or like...
I want to keep evolving as an artist. I want to keep adding skill sets.
So there's no spot to land. You just want to conquer different things.
So kind of like go with the flow and what naturally fits for you is where you want to end up.
I just want to be good at a lot of different kinds of art. I don't want to get stuck in one thing. Like, if I just get stuck in drawing and that's it, I don't want to do that. I want to be good at graphic design. I want to be good at drawing. I want to be good at UI and UX.
What's that? What are those?
User interface and user experience. It's a lot of when you're programming apps that use it.
Oh, okay.
And
so like coding
websites. There's a coding aspect to it, but mainly it's just how you would interact with an app, or how you as a user would interact looking at a page and scrolling through like buttons and things. So
just aesthetically,
aesthetically, yeah, because that's a lot of what I do is putting things on a page in a way that is the best way to communicate.
Cool.
So graphic design, yeah. So
you've been making websites and stuff recently?
I've been designing them, yeah, and then we have some awesome programmers that put them together.
Sweet.
With the coding. I like t-shirts. I want to do more of that. Quiet Village.
TV.
I'm very happy to have been a part of that. That was a great adventure.
It may not be over. It'll come back one day.
It's on hiatus.
You can't build a brand and expect a following.
But it will
Gotta
come
do
back.
it the other way.
You'll see it soon. You'll see it soon. I'm wearing a QB shirt right now, by the way.
So am I.
That was big.
What are you wearing?
Just normal shirt.
Well, black.
Thanks for being on the show. We appreciate you taking the time, and
we'll see you again on the show.
All right,
yeah, you'll be back.
That sounds good.
This is the second time I've seen you since you got married.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, time has flown.
But it's good to see you.
It's great seeing you guys. I love these guys, by the way. These are some of the best individuals I've met. Just want to put that out there. Lonnie Larson, Josh Baker, good people. Remember that.
All right.
Thanks.
Got any plugs? You gonna plug anything?
You want to?
Yeah, plug something.
Plug something. RalphHuberUSA.com. That is the website I do a lot of work on. And if you go Blake Gaddis on Coroflot.
How do you spell that?
COROFLOT.com. You will find my portfolio is on there, and I believe a contact, so you can get a hold of me.
Cool. We can put stuff in the
Yeah, we'll put a link on for people.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
guys.